Good morning, everyone. Let's bow our heads for a word of prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We ask you to bless this board and give us the ability to make the proper decisions for all of Union County. We ask you to bless and watch over this nation the next couple of days and give us grace. These things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lance, would you do the roll call, please?
Commissioner Harville. Here. Commissioner Pitts. Here. Commissioner Miller.
Here.
Commissioner Bierstadt. Here. Commissioner Booth.
Having a quorum, I'll call the meeting to order. New business, this is a special meeting for posting of the combined annual budget for fiscal year commencing on December 1st, 2024, ending on November 30th, 2025.
Okay.
You up?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, this is okay, so I'll start with the summary of the appropriations. I don't know how much detail you guys want me to go into, so you can kind of let me know. But just in general, this page totals all the different funds that we have. So like the general fund budget is at $7.6 million. And then all the funds go down. The total appropriations for all funds is $46,224,000. Now I will say this is a little, I don't want to say misleading, but it kind of is because it's not as if we're spending $46 million. Because if you look right here, county taxes is almost 20 million of it, almost half. And those taxes are for everybody. So that's a fund where Lee gets all the taxes in and then she disperses them all out. It's a clearing account. So like this money isn't our money. It's going to come in and out. And there are other funds that are like that too, where you know we pay the fuel bill out of our individual offices, but they all put their money into a fuel fund which says 200,000, and then we pay the bill out of that fund. We do that for reconciliation. So we make sure that we've charged out fuel to each of the offices that agree with what the invoice totals. So we're really not spending that much money, but this is what it says, 46,224,740. Last year, total appropriations were 48,177,112. It's down this year. A couple factors with it going down, but the main one is that we had COVID money in this year's budget that we won't have next year. So the COVID money that we had put aside for certain projects that were still being paid for this year are not in next year's budget. So that money went down. I will say that our general fund budget did also go down, which last year it was 7.8 million. This much it's 7.6 million, but we also had a grant in there that was, pardon if my acronym is wrong, but I think it's LACTF. But basically it was money that we received. It was a grant that we applied for and received last year that we will not get this year. So, and our fees, fines and fees are going down also. So with all the changes that have been made in the court system. So that's the total of those. Then we have the general fund. I'll do this at high level. If you tell me if you want me to go into each line, we can go into every line. It's a lot, but I can do it. But if you look down here at the bottom, we have total appropriations for revenue for the general fund, a 6.4 million. Last year, same thing, 6.4. So some areas have gone up, like sales tax, use tax, stuff like that. But then, like I said, the fines and fees for the court system, which would be up here, as you can see, last year 100,000. I'm projecting 80 for this year. Circuit clerk fees last year 140, this year, but we're only coming in at 115, so that's what I'm budgeting for next year is 115. So those kind of go down. Some other ones are going up, like this state income tax went from 1.3 million to 1.5 million. So that's kind of where we're at. So it's pretty consistent, just certain ones up, certain ones down. So then the next section we have under the general fund is just general expenses. They're not associated with any department. They're stuff like health insurance. We pay for postage for everybody. We're out of right here instead of each office having their own postage budget. Our legal counsel, our economic development, our probation, regional office of education, all the transfers we do to the different funds is all right here. So if you look, last year we were at 2.977. This year we're at 2.904, right about the same as what we were. I mean, fairly close. So that's the general, and then it gets in our what we call our general fund budget by department. So the first department is commissioners. I'll just look at the high level. If you look, we're right in line with what we were last year, 159 and 159. So it's not going up by that much. Human resource, the same thing. She was at 88. Now it's going to 91. Just a slight increase in expenses like office supplies and stuff. There's also $450 in there for a printer because her printer is out. So then you have the county clerk's office, which budget was 141 last year. It's 148 this year. Again, if you look, it's mostly salaries, just where for their contracts and what they've gone up by. Same thing with the treasurer's office, 185 to 192. Most of it is in salaries that are contractual salaries. Assessor's office actually has gone down because we lost an employee with longevity and we hired a level 1 employee. So their salaries are less from 126 to 116. So their office actually went down a little bit. Then you have the circuit clerk's office. Again, slight increase because of employees' wages. It's up here going up. State's attorney's office, slight increase, same thing. It's going to be wages going up. Sheriff's department. Their increase looks like a lot more, but it's still really the same thing. It's from wages going up. They just have more people, so that when those would go up, they're gonna, obviously, it's gonna hit their budget even more for when it goes up. But it went from 1.481 to 1.56. Quarters budget, barely anything more this year. ESDA, which is our emergency service department, which is Dana Pearson. Again, a very slight increase, mostly due to a raise for his salary. Public defender's budget's going up by $10,000. Again, it's for raises that are in here. We've estimated a 4.5%, what the state calls a COLA raise, that they give effective 7/1. It's set for the state's attorney's office, which will trickle down to the public defender and the sheriff, since theirs is based off of a percentage of the state's attorney's salary. So you don't get asked. You don't have a choice there. Communication. So this is where some of the other, kind of like at the top where I told you we had the general section. Communications is kind of a general section also, but with regards to stuff that's related to communications, like our DevNet software that's run for our taxes, our Paychex software that's run for our payroll, our security alarms, our phones, faxes, Zoom, look at what else, our computer and IT support, and then where we just buy computers. So every year we budget so much money to buy computers. So if you look, it went up, again, not by a whole lot, 264 to 275. And then you have your election budget, which actually your election budget you will see is going down because the year we're in right now, we have 2 elections. Next year we have 1 election. So that budget goes significantly up and down each year because depending on the number of elections that we have. So I don't think there's any, this one does have the new pricing for the new, the voter registration. The voter registration software. It does not have the new
Election contract.
Do they know?
It's fine.
Okay, it doesn't have the new, I don't mean you guys, I meant just the election contract,
No,
people know.
they don't, but
Okay, so the
They
new
won't.
election contract that he's going to sign, yeah, we haven't signed yet, so,
and they don't bill us till 26.
next
budget.
year, so it won't be.
Election contract, because the current one gets us through the consolidated in April, and after that's when we switch.
So then we have the courthouse budget, which is the jail bill. I'm estimating for it to go down. Actually, I had estimated it a lot higher than what it's coming in at right now. Because we were really, really high on our jail bill, and this year it's kind of, well, because we can't arrest people, it has dropped significantly. Next year, the sheriff thinks it's gonna go back up some, because we are getting to, the people that we couldn't arrest, we had to put on probation, are now violating their probation, so now they can be arrested. That's really what the story is. So it went down, and now it's gonna go back up.
I thought that was supposed to be good.
Yeah. So that's what that is. And then you have the normal, maintenance budget and that's fuel for generator. And then down here, service contracts is like the trash for the courthouse, the spraying, for to keep bugs away, and generator maintenance, elevator maintenance, all of that kind of stuff goes in there. And then our utilities for the courthouse, so electric, water, stuff like that. So that's what that is. And then the next section is our court expenses, which is, up here, we have to pay usually right around between $900 and $1,000 every year towards judges' salaries. We get billed from the state, minimal, but we have to pay it. And then down here is office supplies for the court system and their travel, food if we have any expert witnesses or for juries, their dues, just regular stuff that's all here. The legal counsel, these are the bills that you guys approve every year at the end of the year that they run out of money. Last year, we started off with a budget of $100,000. We've increased it through some amendments because we had to pay more money. So we've got it increased now. But this year I just budgeted it at 150. We know it's gonna go over 100. It's went over 100 every year. So I've increased that to 150 to try to help, not have to do so many amendments to get it to the right place. And then the last one is legal publications that the court system has to do. So that's what takes you to total revenues, total expenses, what the projected beginning balance is, and we always end in zero. So that's our general fund budget, which is our main budget. Anybody have any questions about any of it right now? Nope. Okay, so I'll go over just a couple more that are the big ones. I wasn't gonna go over this one, but I clicked on it, so this is just basically where we pay our bonds. So it's the public facilities tax money coming in, and it's the bond payments going out. So that's what that is. This is the one I was trying to do. So ambulance fund is budgeted under its own fund. It's not part of the general fund, so we levy for taxes specifically for them. You can see the amount of the levy is going up slightly. Their revenue going from 1.23 to 1.25. Their expenses going from almost 3 to 1.335. Pretty similar. Again, you got raises in there. There's no big changes. I mean, some accounts may go up a little, some may go down a little, but nothing big in there. And then we try to leave the ambulance fund with some money left in their fund at the end of the year. That way they're not, basically for cash flow reasons. So that way at the beginning of the year, if you approve them to buy, I don't know what we asked for this year, the straps to hold the infants in the ambulance, he doesn't have to wait till July when Lee does a tax disbursement. He can go ahead and buy it up front, and then it's basically cash flow. So we try to keep money in that fund so that he can cash flow and, hit payroll and all that, since it's not in the general fund. Then the next 5, 6, 7 funds are all the highways funds. So this is the highways general fund. Their revenue is going down a little bit this year from last year to this year. And this could completely change. So basically when the highway department goes out and they work on a job, and they can just bill it all to general, which is what this fund is. Or if it's for a unit road, he can bill it to his unit road fund. If it's for a bridge, he can bill it to his bridge fund. Whatever it is, he can bill it to those funds, but it's up to him. If he wants to just pay it out of general, he can. So this kind of changes a lot with the county engineer, and since we have a new engineer coming in, it could change again. Kevin billed a lot to the other funds and paid minimal out of the highway general. Jeff seems to pay a lot more out of highway general and less out of those funds until he needs it. So but it's all one big pot of money, so it's the same thing. Then you got down here for the, for his expenses. And they're actually going down this year also because, well, since the revenue's going down, the expenses are going down. It's with requests that he's put in. I'm looking for what's the main thing that's gone down here. Road oil. Looks like we're estimating that we'll spend less on road oil. I think the price of it has gone down a little bit. So we have that fund, then you have the county bridge fund, pretty consistent with last year, what it is, where he pays for those. You have federal aid matching, these are the ones where you'll do resolutions for, when he goes to spend the money, where the majority of it, I think 80% of it comes from the state, 20% of it comes from us. So we have to keep money in this fund. As you'll see this year, we only spent $38,000 all in engineering, because we're ramping up for a project. That's why it's all budgeted this year to spend it, because we should have a federal aid matching project in the upcoming year. Then we have the county MFT funds, which is your motor fuel tax money that we get every year. Again, it's gone up a little bit, pretty consistent. And then you got your expenses. None of them are, I mean, they're all really consistent with what they've been before. But this is where he spends his county motor fuel tax money. County highway insurance is simply a clearing account. He puts money in throughout the year. At the end of the year, we bill him for his health insurance for all of his employees. So it is 100% a clearing account. Then you have the unit road district account, which is for our unit roads. Same thing. Budget, the revenue's going down a little bit this year, and then you still have your expenses. I think he's gonna have a beginning balance left over, so the expenses are actually higher than last year, even though the revenue's going down, because it looks to me like he's gonna carry forward some money for this account. Unit road district bridge is for those unit roads, but the bridges that are on those roads, same kind of thing, pretty consistent. Revenue's going up, expenses are going up, nothing big. Unit road district MFT is the same thing as the county MFT, but for unit roads. That's our motor fuel tax money that we get. We also get a needy county allotment every year. That's about $240,000. And then we have the normal expenses that come out of this fund. Yes, one more. Then he has the Township Bridge Program Fund, which we budget this money. It comes from the Carbondale office. It is basically kind of like the federal aid matching. It's for certain projects and certain funds, or certain projects that we get grant money for. And so they give us this money and then we spend it on a project. That's what we do. So, and that's the main funds that we have. So it's up to you. I mean, I can go into there's over 100. I can go into the rest of them, but they're like this one's assessor's GIS, where she's getting her GIS money and paying for pictometry. And then you're gonna have a bunch of accounts that have Lances County clerk fees that come in. You're gonna have the recorder fees. How much, do you remember all these from prior years? Do you wanna go into detail? What do you want me to hit every account? I just went through the main funds.
I don't think it's necessary unless somebody has a question.
The only big changes you're gonna see in this budget from this year to last year are the stuff that you guys approved in the capital. So if you approve something, it's in this year's budget. Otherwise, if there was something huge that was different, I would let you know, but there's nothing. It's all pretty consistent with what it is.
How much are we setting aside for contingency?
It's a certain percentage.
Yes, so contingencies cannot exceed 3% of your appropriations. So this year, we are setting aside $230,000 of contingencies. It's kind of deceiving that it looks like last year was only 176. I don't know if you can see at the top, but we actually budgeted last year 235, but that's what contingencies are for. As we use them, we take them out of that budget and put it somewhere else. So we've used 235, $60,000 of our budget of contingencies this year. So, but it's set for a formula. So if I went in and tried to make that higher, if I went in and tried to make this higher, it turns it red for me. because I've got a formula in there to tell me that's too much, because it has a limit, it can only be 3% of your appropriations. So that's what's for contingency.
Just random question, if you don't use it all for this year, do you get to roll it into the next? Or do you do
It's
it?
like all the other money, it doesn't really roll, we just re-budget.
Got it,
You can only, no, you can only have 3% every year,
okay,
so it has to be 3% of whatever you
gotcha.
So if you didn't spend it, you could roll over an app because you only said 3%, so you might as well
Yeah.
spend it.
It's gonna roll over, but you're gonna budget it in a different line
Right,
item.
line item,
But
yes.
you can only do
3% in that, yeah.
Got it.
So, that's that. I don't think there's anything, I mean, like I said, there's all these random funds, but they're all the ones you guys are, we went through before, and they're pretty consistent, so. So the next step is you guys, would vote to approve this budget as is. We would post it in Lance's office and on the website for a minimum of 15 days. And then you can approve it. So if you post it today, that means at our meeting on the 22nd of November, you could actually approve it. And then it's approved and in place before December 1st, which is when it starts. So we won't need another special meeting. We have this one so that we can have the next one on the regular meeting. And then in between then, like I've sent out the budget to everybody. I've had a couple people just come back with some questions. I don't think they're things that are gonna be changed, but usually right before that meeting, I will go in and look again and make sure what I'm projecting us to come in this year is still on track and nothing hit big. And then if that's the case, good. If it's not, we can make changes to our budget for those 15 days. They have to be minor. I can't change the overall. So like where we budgeted $46 million, I gotta keep it at that number. But I can move money around within the budget if we need to. So I will keep an eye on that. I'll let you know if I change anything. Mostly it's the highway department's funds that get changed between now and then. And it's because all of a sudden, you know, I estimated that he's gonna spend 10,000 more in rock and he spends 50. Well, then I have to give him another 40 this year and take away 40 from next year. And Jeff knows that, so that's kind of where we're at with that. Any questions?
Anybody? No, looks good.
The COVID money is pretty well done, yeah.
The COVID money is done. The only thing that's not done with the COVID money is the purchase of the trucks for the highway department. And it's because they're not in. I mean, it's been almost 2 years that we've ordered them and they're still not in. And so they basically said that the money has to be obligated by the end of this year. Well, we're already obligated. We've already signed it. And actually either the truck's in and not the chassis or vice, the chassis in and not the bed or vice versa. I don't remember which one's in, but we're waiting on the other one.
Any other questions? I'll make a motion, we approve the budget, annual budget for fiscal year commencing on December 1, 2024, ending on November 30th, 2025 as presented.
I'll second that.
Mr. Harville?
Yes.
Mr. Pitts?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Bierstadt?
Yes.
So Max, Lance pointed out to me that executive session is not on the agenda because it's a special meeting, he's right. So we don't need to go into today. When it's the 22nd, we can go into it and discuss the personnel matter. I wanted to fill you guys in on this.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask you.
Yeah, I didn't think about it being a
Yeah,
special
no,
meeting,
it's
so.
not.
Yep.
Public comments. It's all yours, buddy.
Come over, Jim, come on.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
Mr. Harville?
Yes.
Mr. Pitts?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Bierstadt?
Yes.
Thanks, everybody, for taking time out.